Hi everybody. I just wanted to do a quick little video on the polyatomic ions. Okay, you do need to know these. This sheet is posted under the, under the material section or the reference section right on Google Classroom. You might want to download it. So these are the ones, these are the polyatomics that you need to know. You do need to know names and charges and that kind of stuff. There are some hints though, so let's go ahead and I want to write some notes on here just so you have them. So first of all, it's not AP, but it's SUPA. Okay, but they're the same ones. Right. Now, the polyatomic ions are a group of atoms linked by covalent bonds that form very stable ions. Okay, so these different atoms come together. Okay, they link with those covalent bonds, and it forms a very stable ion. Right, so once these come together, they're very difficult to pull apart. Okay, so these top ones are kind of some random ones. So you have the ammonium ion. This is called the acetate ion. It's actually an organic ion. Chromate, hydroxide you should be familiar with. Okay, so these are a lot of our bases. Look at permanganate. Carbonate ion is another big one that we'll use a lot. All right, so these are just kind of some random ones that you have to learn. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about these ones down here. Okay, so we have nitrates and nitrites and sulfates and sulfites, and then chlorate, chlorites, bromates, bromites, iodates, iodites. There's actually a pattern here down here. Okay, so let's write this. Polyatomic ions that end in 8, ATE, will have one more oxygen atom than the ones that end in 8, ATE. Okay, 8s have one more oxygen than ites. All right, now, so nitrate, if you know what nitrate is, it's NO3 with a -1 charge. Nitrite is going to have one less oxygen in it. Okay, it's the only difference. It's going to have the same charge. Sulfate and sulfite. Okay, so sulfite is SO4. Sulfite would have one less oxygen, so it's SO3. The charge stays the same. Phosphate, phosphite, it also follows the pattern. So you really just have to learn one of them. Right? So if you know that nitrate is NO3, you'll know what nitrate is. If you know what sulfate is, SO4, okay, you'll know what sulfite is. Okay, now let's look at the chlorates, chlorites, bromates, bromites, iodates, iodites. Okay, they follow the same pattern. Okay, the 8 will have one more than the ite. Okay, so all of these, all the 8s here are O3s. Most of the time, if you have an ATE, an 8, it's going to have 3 oxygens, most of the time. Okay, nitrate has 3, chlorates, bromates, iodates, they all have 3 oxygens. The phosphate and the sulfate are the 2 exceptions, really. Okay, so these also follow the pattern. Now, if you look at this, if we use the prefix per, we're going to add another oxygen. Okay, so chlorate has 3 oxygens. Perchlorate would have 4, and the charge stays the same. If you add the prefix hypo, okay, it's 1 less oxygen. So if we have chlorate, which is ClO2 with a -1 charge, hypochlorite would be just ClO with a -1 charge. Right? So when I learned this, I always started with my 8s. Okay, so I knew my formula for my 8s. And if I knew the formula for the 8s, I could figure out all the rest. Right? So if chlorate is ClO3, perchlorate, the per means add an oxygen, so we go to ClO4. Chlorite would be one less, and then the hypochlorite would be one less than that. So you have this pattern. So in my mind, if you learn what the formulas for the 8s are, all the rest of them you can figure out. Now, there are a couple other ones down here. All right, so we can add hydrogen to our carbonate, our sulfate, sulfite, phosphate, phosphites to make other polyatomics. And when we do that, you're just adding a hydrogen atom, right? So if we add a hydrogen atom to carbonate, carbonate is usually -2. We add the hydrogen, it becomes -1, and you get hydrogen carbonate. Okay, same thing with the sulfates and the sulfites. Okay, you can actually have dihydrogen phosphate, which means that di tells us that we have 2 hydrogen atoms. Okay, and then we can have it for phosphite also. So these are the polyatomics that I want you to know. You're not given them during the test. Okay, that's why you need to know these, and you need to know the charge. Okay, I would suggest that you actually make flashcards. Okay, that's how I learned them the best. All right, is on one side put the formula, and the other side put the name. Right, so you want to get working on this because we're going to start naming here shortly. I just wanted to go through it real quick with you just to make sure we were on the same page. Alright, that's all I have for this one, and we will talk to you soon.